Before we get started on this, let's establish a little bit of authority on why you should trust my opinions on Pokemon. Now, I could tell you it's because my first game I ever owned was Pokemon Yellow, that I was so young when I owned it, it helped teach me how to read, that I've played pretty much every generation. I've been a fan of the series my whole life, but none of that really compares to this, the hand-drawn Pokemon drinking board game I created in college. Yes, look at this. Hand-drawn by me, Wigwam, and let's just say I'm basically the drunken Pokemon master. Alright, I'm like the Jackie Chan drunken master of catching them all. Oh, if you want to see a clear picture of that board game, because it is real and it is dangerous as hell to play, I'm going to probably post it on Twitter, so, you know, links down below if you want to see the actual picture. But let's get into the video. Pokemon has changed, and it will never, ever be the same. Is this good though, or is it bad though? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So last week, as of hopefully when this video was posted, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee has become the fastest selling Switch game of all time. And now I know that's a little bit relative because obviously when Zelda and Mario came out there were less Switches out in the wild, but it doesn't change the fact that it is the #1 fastest selling game on the Switch so far. It still falls a little bit behind X and Y and Sun and Moon for the best fastest selling Pokemon games, but it's doing gangbusters, I would say. I think it's safely in the gangbuster arena right now. And with this game, we have somewhat of an ironic pairing. We have the classic Pokemon Kanto region remake forcibly being dragged into the future with new ideas and new innovations that Pokemon desperately needs. You see, while nobody can deny Pokemon's charm, it's a literally cultural phenomenon across the entire globe.
Be forewarned if you haven't been already, the hottest thing in the 12 and under set is coming soon to a theater near you. Pokemon the movie joins Pokemon the video game and Pokemon the trading card as must-sees and must-haves.
But it's a lot stagnant. Pokemon has long since tried to pass off new moves, new Pokemon, new areas, and even most recently, alternative evolutions in exchange of actual progress and change. And it seems like that's not gonna fly anymore. We all know it's not much like Nintendo to really innovate on things. They kind of are really good at creating new, exciting things, and they just like to let them stay forever. That is, until recently. I kind of noticed this mentality change about the time with A Link Between Worlds, where Nintendo seems like they're no longer content with just putting out the same formula for every game over and over again. Like, they actually want to innovate and stay relevant and get back to creating exciting new ideas that help change the game industry. Thank God. But they're Nintendo, so they're not going to rush into anything. That's what you kind of saw with A Link Between Worlds. Was it was an experimental game. They again took a remake of a classic game, or at least what started out as a remake and later turned into its own eventual game, but that's another video in itself. But they tried all these new ideas, like instead of having consumable items, you have rechargeable items, and instead of having linear dungeons, you can go wherever you want, whenever you want, and that was pretty exciting. And some of these ideas rolled over into Breath of the Wild, and others of these ideas were ditched, and some of these ideas were evolved and changed and tweaked before adding into the new Breath of the Wild, but it was an experimental game that led us to an entirely new way to play Zelda, and that is what we've got going here with Pokemon Let's Go. It's almost the exact same instance. You start with a safe, easy fan favorite remake so that you know people will buy it, and then you add in and tweak new mechanics that you're experimenting for a future game to be released later, which in this case is Pokemon Switch 2019. Yes, there is a new mainstay Pokemon game coming in 2019. You may have forgotten about it because after they mentioned it at E3 2017, they have said nothing about it. They have distracted us with this Let's Go Pokemon game. They have kept everything under wraps. They've not said or shown anything, not even a logo. And we know how they love to show logos. Like, look at this Metroid Prime 4 logo. That's a game that we know nothing about, but look at that logo. That's a good logo. Thanks, Nintendo. So Pokemon's now old enough to be in college, or, well, old enough to have graduated college, and it's time to do a little experimenting, right? No more random encounters, no more battling wild Pokemon, no more HMs, and our catch system is totally different. We have mobile capabilities, we can link it with our phones. This is a little weird, a little out there. But the question is, do all these changes add up to the breath of fresh air that Pokemon desperately needed, or have we gone too far? Have we lost track of what makes Pokemon a great series? Let's break it down point by point. Let's talk about possibly the weirdest part and the part that may not actually even exist in the next game, the Let's Go integration. By now you probably already know that Pokemon Let's Go was supposed to be combined with the Let's Go app, which was insanely popular, another cultural phenomenon of its time, possibly, or even almost definitely the most popular AR game that has ever existed. I can't think of anything that even remotely compares to the impact that Pokemon Let's Go. Everybody was playing it. I was playing it, your friends was playing it, your parents were playing it. I mean, it's crazy. A fun fact about Pokemon Let's Go, it's the only mobile app that I've ever spent money on. When you're stuck working night audit and all you have to do is catch Pokemon, go buy some Pokeballs. So the parts that may not be coming back would probably be the interface with your phone, where you can go out and catch Pokemon in the real world, and then you can put them into your game in a later part of the game. It's very cool, it's a very novel idea, and it's one that I actually kind of do hope they stick with later on, but we'll just have to wait and see whether or not this is something that they really want to keep in their main series, or if it's only good enough for this one-off game. But the new catch system is straight out of this game. The closing in circle where you have to aim and hit the center, get a good catch. That's what we've decided to replace normal encounters with, and honestly, it's an incredibly good change. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but it's happened to me. You're strolling along through some dumbass weak route from earlier in the game, and you encounter a shiny Pokemon. And what do you do with that shiny Pokemon? You kill it, because all of your Pokemon are level 50, and it's like a level 7 shiny Pidgey. That is a frustrating experience, but no longer does that matter, because now it's all just about catching Pokemon, and to me that just feels better. That's the way Pokemon should be. Pokemon's always established this relationship between people and Pokemon and how they live in harmony, and it just feels wrong that you just gotta beat up a Pokemon in the random wild and then catch it with a Pokeball. That just doesn't seem like a good way to establish a new relationship. Like, could you imagine if you had to go catch your dog by going out into the woods and jumping a dog and beating it up, and then before it fainted, capturing it in a leash and put it in a cage? That's kind of fucked up. On top of just being a better overall idea, I think that it's a lot more fun. You get experience for catching Pokemon, which shares among your party, which means it's way easier to level up. It also feels way more rewarding when you're stuck level grinding, which is my least favorite thing to do in any game. On top of that, if you get a catch combo by catching many of the same Pokemon over and over again, you can get more likely to catch rare or shiny Pokemon, which again incentivizes the grinding. All of this grind that used to be the part of Pokemon that I hated, the part that was driving me farthest away, is almost entirely fixed by this catch system. It had really gotten to a point where I almost only wanted to play Pokemon if it was on an emulator, because you have that fast forward button, and without the fast forward button, it just sucks. God, I mean, like, you play 40 hours to beat a save file on Pokemon all the way through, but 25 of those hours were spent grinding routes, just wrecking Pidgeys, and that doesn't make me feel good. Again, I just don't want to beat up small mice. It seems wrong. Moving on to that, we've got no HMs. This one's pretty much a freebie. HMs suck. Everybody hates HMs. HMs are the worst. Nobody wants to have to carry around an HM slave. It just feels wrong to even say that about a Pokemon, but most people had one. They're gone. Now you just have secret techniques. It's so much better. Hopefully in the next game, since it's not going to be a remake, they just get rid of HMs and secret techniques altogether. Don't need that. Don't want it. And possibly best of all, no more PC box, the worst mechanic of Pokemon that would never, ever go away, and now it's gone. Possibly kind of a weird change, but one that ends up being pretty good, is that you no longer have a bike, but you can instead ride Pokemon. This is really amazing, because not only is riding a Pokemon incredibly badass, but it's actually so much more convenient, because you just set your Pokemon to be out on the open and you ride it automatically, so you don't ever have to like select the bike on and off. It's just there, boom, you're going, fast speed all the time. However, there are some negatives to all these changes. You know, you can say what you will about whether or not you like the new catch system. It's going to be entirely based on opinion. Personally, I think it's a good improvement. The things that scare me are that there were some changes in this game that make the game even easier, even more hand-holding, which is absurd, because Pokemon was already like the easiest game in the world. Again, like I said in my intro, I literally beat Pokemon Yellow before I could read, and that's kind of my point, is kids can already beat Pokemon. Young kids can beat Pokemon. It's that easy. It doesn't need to have pre-gym requirements or anything that even lowers the difficulty even further. But my biggest gripe overall is why? Why do we still not have a hard mode to play on? I get that Pokemon is a game for kids, and that's great. Like most of Nintendo's games, it's accessible to the whole family, but why is it a game only for kids, it seems like. Why does Nintendo not recognize that many of us who grew up playing the games still enjoy playing them? I mean, it's undeniable that the age range that appeals to Pokemon is basically anyone that's ever played it since their own childhood. How hard would it be to have a simple hard mode difficulty where you could just have trainers that have slightly stronger Pokemon, slightly more Pokemon in their party? Stop giving me trainers with one level 7 Rattata when I've got an entire team of level 20 Pokemon. What is with that? That's all I want, is just that option that I can, as an experienced player, have a slightly more difficult and more entertaining game mode. The Pokemon battle system is great, but at its current level, it's basically just mashing whatever your attack button is and getting type advantage. You don't ever have to use any of the accuracy, defense, attack up kind of items, any of the stat affecting items. There's no depth to the actual combat because the enemies are too easy, even though the combat system supports that depth. But to be fair, this is just a remake, so we'll see if Pokemon really wants to step up any sort of difficulty in the next mainstay title. Here's hoping, but not really gonna be that surprised when they inevitably don't and they somehow try to make the game even easier. I think the good thing here is that, like, much like when they released Link Between Worlds, clearly this is an experimental game. We've tried some things, some new things, they're gonna tweak it, they're gonna get rid of some, bring some back, make some other changes based on the feedback they get from this game, and I think whatever comes out in Pokemon Switch 2019 later next year, will be really exciting to see what they do, and if we get a more open world experience, what they decided that they like on these changes, what they don't. But hey, at the end of the day, let's be honest, we're all gonna play Pokemon as long as we can name our opponents' butts, and that's just really what I'm looking for here. So overall, 10 out of 10 game. Let me know what you think. What do you want to see from the next Pokemon game? Did you like the Pokemon Let's Go changes, or do you think that it's better the old way? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as nothing. I got nothing. I gotta go eat lunch. I'm hungry. I can't think. Alright guys, be nice to me. I'm gonna go play this horrible catastrophe of a drinking board game. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.